Looking at the record of the Pakatan government in Selangor in particular, it's an example of how the coalition is working in some sense. I understand that there is something called the Common Policy Platform, which is a document that is a reference point for all the parties in the Pakatan Rakyat coalition. From your perspective as a member of parliament from PAS, how do you look at that common policy platform document, its implementation, and the ability for the different parties to negotiate? What everybody says is, in some ways, a kind of ideologically disparate coalition, right? You have the DAP on one side, you have PAS on the other. PKR is sort of seen as the middle ground somehow, or the bridge between the two parties. Is that in fact true? And what has been your experience in terms of trying to make this coalition sustainable?
Okay, I think the fact that we are ideologically different, I mean, nobody can deny that, right? But I think the difference is more in terms of the theology, if I can use the word. I mean, it's the ideological, the philosophy behind the various ideologies. But in the final analysis, when you come to the question of policies, what you want to do, the question of freedom of speech, the question of democratic rights, the question of giving religious freedom, the question of ensuring a just government. I mean, questions of good governance as a whole. We are in complete agreement with most of the issues, right? We want a free press, we want more accountability, we want greater transparency, so I don't think that there are major disagreements on that level. Obviously, when you come to specific policies as to what is to be done, where and when, in which manner, and so on and so forth, there might be some differences of opinion. There might be a question of the allocations for Chinese schools and in Tamil schools and religious schools, which the government should give. How much is the amount, and where, and so on. These are very detailed and technical questions which are looked upon not so much from the ideological perspective, but in terms of the practical problems that you're faced with, where you want to have you want to develop a Chinese school in an area where there's also a lot of Malay residents in kampung areas. You've got temples in Malay areas, and which are neighboring Indian areas, and so on and so forth. So these are technical issues which need to be discussed, and our main problem is actually the fact that everything that we are doing is being politicized, and as a result of that, open debate and discussion is sometimes a taboo. You can't say certain things because you know that it's going to be manipulated and it's going to be used against you, even though what you want to do is something which is correct. I mean, in my experience, for example, the question of the Indian temple, right? In section 19, which had to be transferred to section 23. Of course, this
is the one that led to the cow-head incident.
Yes, that's right. And of course, it was very how do you say, challenging for me to say that no, Islam allows this, and as a Muslim, I should stand up for the rights of the non-Muslims to practice their religion in the face of Malay Muslims who are being manipulated and by UMNO. So obviously it's a problem because everything that you do is being politicized, right?
But I wanted to ask you, I mean, beyond the question of, say, moral policing or, imposing sort of compulsory piety on people, there are questions, I think, maybe ideological that differentiate the parties. The idea of the relationship between the state and the individual, the idea that perhaps the individual has to take much more responsibility for themselves, or there's a notion of private morality versus public morality. The idea that, and this is not just in the realm of people's morality, but also in the question of welfare, that in fact the state should stand back. I mean, Aren't those ideological differences that are between the parties that affect, say, policy?
Yeah.
How much should the state be involved in subsidizing business, subsidizing livelihoods? I mean, are those ideological differences apparent in the way decisions are made over policy?
Yeah, currently it's not as apparent. Obviously, because we are only holding state governments, which are in no position to really influence or shape the economy of the state. I mean, you're just handling certain small issues pertaining to land, pertaining to water, and so on and so forth. And the budget that you have is able to provide for some welfare, not very much. And in no way can the state government influence the economic condition of the state as a whole, because obviously the one who's holding all the major policies are the federal government. In general, obviously, again, it's a question of emphasis and a degree. And I believe that even within the PKR and within the DAP, as a party, they're not completely homogeneous on all these issues. I mean, these are issues which are being debated all over the world, right? To what extent should the state get involved? But I think in the final analysis, we are very pragmatic in the approach. What's most important is what is being attempted. What do we want to achieve? We want to achieve a better, more equitable distribution of wealth. We want to make sure that big business doesn't kill small businesses, and so on and so forth. And we're looking at the welfare of the common man. I mean, basically, as far as Islam is concerned, its approach is the government should defend the weak against the poor. Against the strong. Admitting, obviously, that that situation of inequality is something which does exist and will continue to exist. But what we've got to make sure is that you don't allow a situation where it becomes laissez-faire and the rich own everything and the poor are left out in the cold. And that's exactly I think as far as that objective is concerned, we are in complete agreement with the DAP and the NPKR. And
what have you been achieved? What have you been able to achieve since 2008? You capture the state. Admittedly, there are things that the state cannot do, as you mentioned just now. But beyond that, what is it? What has the Pakatan Rakyat administered state of Selangor been able to achieve concretely in the last 4 or 5 years now?
Right. The first, of course, on the ideological level, I think we've destroyed the myth that only Barisan Nasional is able to govern a multi-racial and multi-religious society. We've proven to the Malaysians that we can govern and that we can perform and we can do as well, if not better, than Barisan Nasional, number one. Right? Number two, we've proven that government and politics need not necessarily be corrupt. You can have government which is clean, and you can have leaders who really work and sacrifice for the people. And I think as far as the policies are concerned, we have also showed that it doesn't have to be doesn't have to have a very strong racial tilt to it in order to be accepted by the public. That we can service the public based on their economic positions, based on what is sometimes termed as their needs or the merit of their case, rather than on the basis of race, right? So I think we are able to present to the public a new formula for nation building, right? Which, while taking into stock the differences, racial and religious differences, and so on and so forth, and having policies to handle this, but at the same time can make each and every Malaysian feel that he's given his right and he's being looked after, and he's not evaluated based on his religion or based on his race, right? Yeah. So I think we have also proven that a clean government will increase income for the state. A clean government will reduce expenses for the state. A clean government can increase expenditure which is aimed at helping the common man, and a clean government can at the same time, while spending, have and build a respectable savings, yeah, for the future, right? And not everything is being spent for now and leaving nothing for the coming generations, right? So I think people, when they look at what Selangor has achieved, I mean, besides all the specific policies and so on and so forth, they see that a clean government benefits the rakyat. It's not a question of oh, we want a clean government and the leaders will benefit from a clean government. I mean, the people who are going to benefit from the clean government are the voters, right? They are the ones who are going to get the benefit of the excess in funds, the various kind of welfare programs and the various kind of economic assistance packages for small and medium-sized industries and so on and so forth, which will be more sizable because of the fact that they have less people taking commissions here and there, right?
Well, I just want to stop you there quickly. When the government was formed, as you said, it surprised many, yourselves included. Some time must have been spent trying to build this coalition, make it, and find a way of working together. Now, there probably was some time lost to that kind of political work. The question is, when you look back, have you felt that there was time wasted, that you could have done other things, and what would you have done differently? Looking back now, at 4 years of having power, what would you have done differently?
I wouldn't have appointed Hassan Ali as EXCO. That was, of course, so what you're saying is, completely right. I mean, we were caught, we were all caught by surprise, and this is to our credit, right? Given the fact that we didn't expect to win, and given the fact that we did not expect to form a government with the DAP, yeah, and given the fact that we had to carry this baggage called Hassan Ali in the early years, but we still managed to come up with a very credible government, and that's to our credit, right? So imagine what we can do if we were better prepared. We knew that we were coming into government, we had all the data, we had all the information, right? When we came into power, let's be frank, a government that was in power before us was very secretive. We never had any data. We didn't know half of what was going on. We don't know, all the dealing and wheeling and dealing that was happening, right? And when we wanted to come into power, I mean, files were being burned, right? Shredded, and so on and so on. And we were taking over a government. I mean, we were going in blind. We came up with a manifesto based on various estimates, but the fact of the matter, we were flying blind. And given that situation and the fact that we didn't even get the cooperation of the civil servants from day one, right, at the initial stages, right? Now, thankfully, there's been some change. I mean, I remember in one of the first meetings, one of the government officers, state government officers, just said, 60% of the government officers support Barisan Nasional. He just said that to the chief minister in his face, right? But we are civil servants, so we serve the government in power, the government of the day, yeah. But that was the situation that we had to face and that we had to handle, right? And of course, a lot of time was therefore wasted. Not quite wasted. We had to use a lot of time in trying to ensure that we can come up with the right policies. But of course, the manifesto was also a guide, and we started getting all the information, all the data, how much it would cost, how many people would be involved, and so on and so forth. And we managed, right? So I think it's a major credit to us for having done it, and this was also in spite of having Hassan Ali on board, right?
Last question:
yes.
Can you hold Selangor in the 13th general election?
If the voters are all Malaysians,
and they should be,
and they should be. not people who were just given the ICs 2-3 months before, and that they are really Malaysians who understand Malaysian politics and what's happening, and they're not Bangladeshis or Pakistanis or Indonesians who were given ICs, or people from Burma who were given ICs a few months back, and we have a clean election. Yeah, I believe that we can, because I believe that the Selangor public is a discerning public, and they are able to how do you say, appreciate the problems that we face and the achievements that we've made in spite of these problems.